And we are back, and we just finished watching 2021's West Side Story, rated PG-13 with a runtime of 2 hours and 36 minutes. This is directed by Steven Spielberg with a screenplay credit to Tony Kushner, based on the stage play and book by Arthur Laurents. This is currently streaming on Disney Plus as of yesterday, I believe. In the IMDb blurb, an adaptation of the 1957 musical, West Side Story explores forbidden love and the rivalry between the Jets and the Sharks, two teenage street gangs of different ethnic backgrounds. And let's be honest, that was a lie, because some of those people were not teenagers.
Yeah.
Especially on the Jet side, right? No, the Sharks.
All of them.
At both sides, yeah.
Yeah. None of those guys.
But mostly the Sharks.
None of those guys look like teenagers.
None of them.
Yeah.
None of them.
Mid-20s.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or too old to be doing that sort of thing.
So I will out myself and say that I eagerly anticipated this film. I saw the trailer, I guess, when it first came out or was first announced, and I was very interested to see it. And I gotta be honest, this was not my favorite movie watching experience.
I, on the other hand, never liked West Side Story. I didn't like the first movie. I didn't like the play. I don't like Romeo and Juliet. The concept of love at first sight pisses me off. So this film had a lot of marks against it in my book, and it didn't win me over. Surprise, surprise. I did not like this movie.
Did you at any point fall asleep, or did I catch you with your eyes closed?
At one point I closed my eyes, but I didn't miss anything. I just closed my eyes.
Okay. I, surprisingly enough, did not fall asleep, but I could see how someone would.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
honestly, if you're into it, I'm surprised you would be able to see that. Well, maybe because you were disappointed, but if this is something that you're interested in, this musical, this story, I don't think you would fall asleep. It was well done. I mean, it's beautiful.
I was going to say, maybe we should focus on the positives first. And the positives here are absolutely the costuming, the set pieces, the art direction, the cinematography, top notch.
Yeah, so it's what you'd expect
Gorgeous.
from a big budget Steven Spielberg movie.
Yes, yeah. Gorgeous. I mean, there was money spent, and spent wisely here. It is a feast for the eyes. The story itself, very much like the original, Spielberg's version takes a couple of liberties here and there. Some things are done differently than they were in the 61 film. I gotta be honest, musicals are a thing that are an acquired taste. I don't think anybody just automatically loves musicals. Well, I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong. But anyway, I've always had an affinity for the original with Natalie Wood and Rita Moreno. However, the only other thing that really, I think, bumped this movie up for me were the two women leads here, Anita and Maria. I think both actresses have really great singing voices. I don't know if... Well, I think the one who played Anita has done movies before, so she has a little bit more of that, I guess. I don't know if the girl who played Maria is brand new. She seemed a little stiff, a little wooden, like she wasn't, or at least to me. Maybe I was being too critical.
I mean, she's kind of playing like the wide-eyed innocent girl. There's not much
you can do there.
There's not much you could do there. I mean, towards the end, obviously, she gets to have a bit more of a range of emotions to deal with. But for the most part, it's just like open your eyes as wide as you can and look like everything's new and sing.
Yeah.
And she does that. And in fact, I would probably say she was the best singer in the movie.
Yes. Agreed.
And that was like one of the things that like kind of stuck out to me a bit was I mean, it's West Side Story. It's a movie full of songs. I'd say most of the dialogue is musical numbers. Mm-hmm. And I just got the feeling that these people were not really
theater folk,
decent singers. I mean, what's his name? Ansel Elgort.
Who's the male lead. Not really a great singer.
No. I mean, he's able to carry a tune. His voice sounded smooth, but there's no power behind it. Like when I've seen musical adaptations, movie musical adaptations, and you could totally tell when the guy is a Broadway performer. They're belting that stuff out,
or faking it.
But even if they're faking it, somebody is doing
the work.
And it's like, oh, that's a professional singer.
Yeah. It's funny you said that. I just thought of this is like when we used to go to the theater or the movies all the time before children, but when we went to see Moulin Rouge, like I was so impressed with Ewan McGregor's performance, and he had such a powerhouse kind of voice, right?
Yeah, he sounded really good, which is, you wouldn't really expect that because Ewan McGregor is, I don't recall him being a musical theater man.
Guy, no.
But
I mean, you see somebody like Hugh Jackman who jumps Hugh back Jackman and forth.
He's got that musical power voice, where it sounds really good. Ansel Elgort, no. He stick to just acting because you're not really the musical guy. And I also wasn't really impressed with Riff.
Bernardo.
Anita was good, but she wasn't nearly as good as Maria.
Yeah.
Maria was the most powerful singer in that
whole cast. Yeah,
I would probably say the next would probably be Rita Moreno, but she was in the original.
Yeah, I thought that was a nice little nod to have her there.
Yeah,
and then she's sort of like the Doc character from the original, the one with the little store pharmacy thing where Tony works at.
You like Tony wasn't an ex-con in the original.
No. I mean,
that was one of the
ran
liberties
with the gang. He ran with the gang, but he was sort of like in the original. The Tony character is trying to extract himself from that life because he wants more. He wants more than to just be like this little clerk in this little shop. Mm-hmm. He has bigger dreams and bigger ambitions, and the only way out of that is through making it happen in opportunities, right? Mm-hmm. So, but the Riff character keeps pulling Tony back into this kind of lifestyle because he's sort of like the man-child that doesn't grow up, right?
I don't think it was like, I kind of wonder why they made that change. And plus, it was like, I was in jail. How long? A year. What'd you do? I killed a man with my bare hands, or I almost killed a man. And you only got a year in prison for that?
I'm surprised you would get anything if it's not like actual murder, right?
I mean, it's attempted murder. It's.
Does that carry a stiff sentence?
If you beat somebody where you're, as he said, one punch away from killing him, yeah, you're going to jail.
But it's weird because, I mean, it's a different crime. But in the news lately, we've had men sexually assault women who only get months in jail.
That's that's just messed up. That shouldn't be happening. But then again, you also have men who sexually assault women and go to jail for a super long time. But apparently, it depends upon if the judge thinks, oh, well, he looks like such a sweet, innocent boy.
God. This country.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. Anyway. What was your biggest complaint about this film?
I expected the singing to be better, but I mean, this may come off as a bit of a rant, but I don't know why the hell this movie was made. In my mind, West Side Story is I'm talking about the musical and the original movie itself, products of their time. The songs, while classics, they're not that interesting to listen to be honest. Mm-hmm. And to try and bring that over to a new, younger audience, trying to get that, we want this to be a big blockbuster hit, get that 18 to 29 demographic or whatever, they're not going to be interested in that. They're going to hear the music and the dance numbers, and they're going to be like, "Oh, that sounds like something my grandpa listened to." Mm-hmm. And then you got the people who originally saw the first one and loved it. They're going to be like, "Why are you doing this? Why are you trying to? Are you saying this is going to be better now?"
Right.
That's like an insult. You're trying to appeal to their sense of nostalgia, but you're not. You're trying to replace what they loved. And I mentioned this before. It's kind of like what George Lucas did to Star Wars. Mm-hmm. When he re-released it, he changed all the stuff. He polished up the graphics. He's like, people are going to love this. I was always unhappy with the way it turned out, and now it's perfect. And people got pissed off. Nobody wanted to see Han shooting first or Han shooting second or whatever the hell happened, and 40 seconds of just nonsense and Jabba the Hutt horribly CG'd into a scene. Nobody wanted that. It pissed people off, and I could see why this bombed. I mean, this bombed hard. From what you told me, they needed $300 million to break even.
Yeah,
and they made 10.
Yeah.
In my mind, it's completely understandable. It really shouldn't have been made. If Steven Spielberg wanted to make a musical, make something original. You make something that's going to appeal to a more modern audience. I mean, people love the hell out of Hamilton and In the Heights and stuff, but if you listen to the music in those musicals, it's fresh, it's new. Even the musical cartoons like Encanto and all the other ones that have come out, they're appealing to the current generation.
Right.
And to invest $300 million on something that, while like I said, it's a classic, it's not going to get that huge mainstream audience, especially at 2.5 hours.
Oh yeah. This felt long. And
your main catch is, you're going to love all these old songs from the 60s.
Yeah.
No, it's not even like it's like the popular music from the 60s. This is Broadway.
Right.
Like 60s Broadway. La la la. The appeal for that is not here. The appeal for that is for the older generation, and they're not going to like it because you are pissing on the thing that they liked. I doubt he intended to piss on it.
Right.
But he did sort of, because when you come out and be like, hey, you know that thing you like, that you love, that you cherish, I made it better. And
which is open to interpretation.
Yeah, and they're going to be like, fuck you, you made it better. No. This is perfect the way it is.
Yeah. I'm assuming that he's wanted to make a musical because looking at his IMDb page, I don't think he had in the past. So maybe this was just a project for him to kind of have this notch on his belt.
It's an expensive project.
Very expensive. I agree with you. This was not what I had hoped it would be. I was curious because I've always loved the original. I've always loved the original. And even now, I think it still holds up. I think this one is not as dynamic as the original. I think it's prettier, it's more polished, it's more sleek, but it doesn't make for a better film or a better storytelling experience. I agree with you. I think that he would have been better served taking something else and making that into a musical. What was your idea?
Make a musical out of Jaws.
Yeah. I mean, that would have been way more interesting than this.
He has a ton of properties of his own that he could have taken, or even, I don't want to do that. There is so much content.
Oh my gosh.
out
You know
there.
what would have been amazing? Lincoln, the musical.
Yeah, you could
with Daniel Day-Lewis, because he would have committed to that.
Yeah, that would have been, it would have made more than $10 million. That's for sure.
It would, it would have.
And I bet the songs would be great.
Yes.
Because you would get somebody who has more of a modern sensibility.
Or you'd hire Lin-Manuel, who's on a streak right now.
Yeah, he you know what, he needs to calm down because he's gonna get overexposed, and then everybody the backlash is coming. It always happens. The backlash comes for everyone.
Well, I don't know what to feel about this movie. Like, it was just, it wasn't good. It wasn't bad. It was too long. And I feel like, I agree with you.
Was the original this long?
I don't know.
I mean, old films are generally longer.
I'm pretty sure it was like a 2-hour film, but I don't know. I feel like the other one flowed better. It was more dynamic. And even though I know that people have addressed like, oh, well, this is more true, and you have Spanish actors or you have Hispanic actors, so it's more authentic. I don't know. And I said this to you before. Listen, as the daughter of immigrants, as the daughter of parents that were both born in a South American country, I understand the story of the immigrant, but I feel like in this film, there was a lot of Spanish. And it worked for me because I'm bilingual, but I feel like you rob somebody of this experience by not subtitling.
Like me.
Right, because you're not fluent in Spanish, right? So I feel
asking you, what did they just say? And
right.
you described everything they said in English. And I'm like, I heard that part.
Yeah.
I didn't know what the hell they said in Spanish.
I know. I was like, by that point, I was like, oh, I forgot.
Something about boxing.
Yes. But I feel like that should have also been addressed in the film, and I think that kind of hurt the story, because now you're not letting people know exactly what's being said. And I feel like in the original West Side Story, that wasn't an issue. You knew from start to finish the entirety of this story.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind the Spanish, but I agree there should have been subtitles, and I find from what you read earlier before we started recording, like the reasoning behind it just seemed like bullshit. It was like, it's because we didn't want the audience to feel like we're only pandering to an English speaking crowd.
Right.
And I'm like, well, where the hell are you showing this movie?
Right.
I mean, so does that mean if you show it in Japan, you're not going to have subtitles? You're just going to be like, all right, everybody, you don't speak English or Spanish, fuck off.
Yeah.
It really is just like the worst kind of, it's tokenism. We're look what we're doing. We're throwing you this bone here. And it's like, that's a worthless bone.
Yeah.
You know, you're just.
Well, I feel like, again, because I'm bilingual, it didn't really impact me. But for someone who doesn't understand Spanish, I think it takes away. And this is somebody who could have potentially been a butt in a seat, but because of this, didn't go to see this film. I think I also agree with you. Well, okay. So my take on this would have been, the story of Romeo and Juliet has been told a million different ways. And I think here, if that's the story you wanted to tell, do it in an interesting way. You're Steven Spielberg. You're a master storyteller. I feel like this could have been so much better. I mean, if he wanted to do West Side Story, it could have been West Side Anywhere USA. You do it in a contemporary setting. You hire current music composers and maybe pop artists and singers and get those people into this project. I think that. But
doesn't that make it not West Side Story anymore? If you just have a
it could be a variation of it. It could be, like I said, it could be West Side USA Anywhere.
No, but what I'm saying is, if you bring in new musical artists and change all the songs, then it's not.
I'm not saying change the songs. I'm not saying change the songs at all. I think you keep all the songs as the thread that ties this to the original story, but I think that you change the location, you change the period of time. Maybe you don't even make it exclusively white versus Hispanic gangs. Maybe you make it like this multicultural urban experience, right? It could have been so much more interesting and so much more impactful. And unfortunately, it wasn't. I mean, it was pretty to look at. The lead actress, Rachel Zegler, has an amazing voice. I absolutely 100% agree with that. She was really, really good. I mean, I think she's obviously a better singer than she is an actress, but she still held her own. This is a long film. You're asking a lot from an audience to stay with you. Musicals are not a thing in 2021. This is not the 40s. This is not the 50s. It's not even the 60s. So you're really asking a lot from an audience. So in order to get that audience on board, you have to sort of tie it to something that everyone or a larger audience would be down with. This movie came out the week before Spider-Man, according to Alexa. So there's no reason why this movie didn't do better.
No, I just told you why it didn't do better.
No, I understand why it didn't do better, but I'm saying that people were going to the theater.
Yeah. People were going to the theater.
So people were going to the theater.
Week, what did No Way Home make? Like $500
gajillion
million in its opening weekend?
Yeah, $1 gajillion.
Something crazy like that.
Right.
But this
didn't even make a tenth of the marketing budget, I don't think.
No, I don't think it did at all.
I think he would have been better served.
He would have been better served making an original property. I don't think no matter what, you can't say, okay, I'm making West Side Story. Even if you try and change the setting or update the songs a bit, at some point it's just like, well, what are we doing? Let's just make something new, because you're going to eventually veer so far away, and it's not like the star-crossed lovers plot is unique to West Side Story. If you want to make a star-crossed lovers plot, just do what God knows how many countless story writers and directors have done, because it's been done to death.
Right. Well, that's what I mean. Make it interesting. Put your own spin on it.
Right, but then it's if that's the case, don't call it West Side Story. Don't even.
Well, I would say keep the songs, because I feel like the songs are iconic enough and they stand on their own.
The problem, I
don't think you keep all of the songs.
You could think that, but in my mind, I think the songs are outdated. They're old, outdated songs. But like I said, they're classics of Broadway, of a bygone era that I don't know is going to appeal to a mass audience. And the proof is $10 million on a $300 million budget. Mm-hmm. There's just not that appeal. When people hear like the big songs from that, Tonight and Maria, they're classic songs, but I don't think you're going to hear like kids singing along with this. It's not like there's no.
We don't talk about Bruno.
It's not exactly. It's not. It's not a we don't talk about Bruno. There's no. It's not catchy.
Yeah.
And the rest of the songs are just serviceable. Mm-hmm. The opening thing, we didn't we like not even recognize it in the beginning? Wasn't there one song we were like, what is this?
Yeah, I forgot what it was, but yeah, at one point I turned to you and I was like, I don't remember this in the original, but maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, there you go. I mean, we've probably in our lifetimes have experienced West Side Story in some form or another and heard all the songs in this thing. I can't tell you anything aside from America, that one.
Yeah.
I mean, probably of all the songs in the entire thing, that's the most catchy one. Mm-hmm. But still, it's not
catchy enough.
It's not catchy enough for today's crowd. I don't know. Maybe we've lost our attention. Well, we definitely lost our attention spans
for sure.
This has been going on for a while. Hey, don't bore us. Get to the chorus.
Yeah.
That's all kids know.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, how much we put Olive in singing classes. It's like, and then once it's the chorus, it's just confident singing.
Yeah.
And they only remember the chorus.
Yeah, I wanted to like this more, but I just can't. Again, I feel like if I was a producer on this, I would have told Spielberg, you can keep the name, you can keep some of the songs, maybe 3 or 4 tops.
But then it's not West Side Story anymore.
I understand that, but you know what? It's like a modern take on West Side Story. I don't think you have to follow something to the letter, right? I think that if you want to remake the story of West Side Story, you can, and I think that as long as you make it interesting enough, you can go for broke on some of these choices. But I think in this particular film, there was nothing dynamic about it. There was nothing dynamic about it.
It really just felt like a slight polishing on something
that we've already seen. Right. And I'm very curious because, again, I've read a couple of reviews, and I guess because it's Spielberg, people just fawn all over him. But am I not seeing the same film? Because I wasn't impressed by this at all. I mean, other than the technical parts of this film, I really wasn't impressed by this at all.
I mean, I think that's what we love about Spielberg. He makes a pretty damn movie. The scripts are not always.
But does he always make a pretty movie? Because, okay, for example, you said Jaws. It's not a pretty movie in the traditional sense. It's the story that's so freaking compelling.
But Jaws was like his first movie.
I understand that.
So, I mean, that was like a guy coming out of the gate hard, and it's a pretty raw looking movie, and he realized, okay, a lot of this is just crap. I can't show this on the screen, especially the shark.
Oh my God, that shark is ridiculous.
And he made the most of it. He showed you just enough of that thing, because apparently the robot that they had built to do that was just a disaster. It barely worked ever and whatever.
But funny because that movie came out in 70 whatever, and I mean, we catch it on cable every once in a while, and guess what? We've seen that movie way too many times, and yet we still sit there because the performances are amazing, the story is compelling. Well, it doesn't have like the Marvel budget special effects, but you're still willing to give it a pass because the story is what pulls you in.
Right. Well, you is always interrupting. He's been doing this obviously for a long time, and now his films look great. He generally knows how to pace them very well. He's got this craft down. The scripts are not always going to be great, but it's always going to look spectacular at this point.
But is that what you want? Is that what you want your legacy to be?
No.
Just spectacular looking movies?
I'm sure he thought it was fantastic. All of his stuff. I mean, he probably thought the BFG was a great.
Oh my
movie.
God, that's terrible.
That was garbage. It was pretty, but it was garbage.
Has he lost his knack? I feel like his earlier works, unbelievable filmmaking as far as I'm concerned, and like recently, I don't know. Like I didn't really watch Ready Player One, but you said it was okay.
Yeah, it was okay. It had, I mean, people loved the book. I never read the book, but the story was serviceable enough. I found it ridiculous the way people were using VR in it, but that's just a small nitpick. But as far as like the basic story and the way that it looked, it was a adventure.
And before that, he made The Post, which we've not seen. I think that's the one with Meryl Streep and Tom Hanks.
Yeah, I never saw that one.
We saw the BFG and we both hated it.
Oh, that was torture.
We didn't see Bridge of Spies.
No.
I've seen Lincoln, which is a really good film.
I've seen most of Lincoln, which is really good.
That was 2012.
Oh.
That's been a while. Before that, he did War Horse, which I didn't see in its entirety. I've seen chunks, and that's a beautiful looking movie too.
I've seen most of War Horse. That was actually pretty good.
Pretty good. I've heard that, yeah. Before that, he did The Adventures of Tintin, which I actually liked.
Yeah.
I was sad that it didn't do better. There was something else called A Timeless Call. I don't know what that is. Documentary short from 2008. Before that was Crystal Crystal Skull, which we both hated.
Oh, God, that was brutal.
Before that was Munich, which was an excellent movie. War of the Worlds, 2005,
I like
excellent.
War of the Worlds.
Terminal, that was good. Catch Me If You Can, that was good. Minority Report, that was good. AI, that was good. Jaws deleted scenes, I don't know what that is. Video short. Unfinished Journey documentary, 1999. Saving Private Ryan is an excellent film.
So basically, he's got way more hits than misses.
He does have way more hits, but I'm talking about in recent years. It feels like, okay.
In recent years, I feel like maybe, I mean, who wrote the more recent stuff?
Who wrote it?
Yeah.
Well, Tony Kushner wrote this. Ready Player One. The screenplay is Zach Penn and Ernest Cline.
That's the guy who wrote. Ernest Cline, I believe, is the author of the book.
Okay. And Zach Penn, I feel like I've seen that name before.
Yeah. Well, Ready Player One was okay.
He wrote Ready Player One, The Avengers. I guess he was a writer on that. The Incredible Hulk from 2008. X-Men 2. X2 from 2003. Did he write Free Guy?
I thought that was Sean Levy.
Right. He wrote. Sean Levy's the director.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, he's out there doing his thing.
You know, we're going off on a tangent, and I don't want to bury people. So basically, Steven Spielberg makes pretty movies, but sometimes the writing behind the story is not the best. But that's true of any director. Let's be honest.
Fair enough. I don't know. I feel like, is this one of those things where his best days are behind him?
I don't know, but
I feel like the last big picture of his is Lincoln.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this gotta hurt. This was a colossal failure as far as financially, I mean. I'm sure some people like it, but
I mean, I feel like
I don't think this film needed to be made. I don't think there's a real audience for a remake of West Side Story, at least one that's so similar to what we've already had.
Right. And that's what I was saying. Like, make it more dynamic, make it different. Like, if you're going to remake this, make it different, because this, while it's pretty, it's like, who asked for this?
Yeah.
It was fine the way it was. Like, I don't understand why.
I get what you mean. I'm with you, but in my mind, just make a new movie.
Yeah.
If your idea is, you know what, I'm going to take this classic and I'm going to remake it. Just no. It's a classic already. It doesn't need to be remade. Remake something that was garbage. Find a movie that just
Ice Pirates.
Yeah, remake Ice Pirates or something that just wasn't beloved, that people were just like, yeah, that was okay.
You know what he should have done?
Well,
he should have taken Lynch's Dune and made that, because I love that movie.
We already got a new Dune.
No, but a musical Dune.
Oh my God, a musical of Dune. That would have been amazing. Yeah.
Baron Harkonnen.
Talking about the spice. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And make it like really like hire like hair metal band people to make the score and just make it just over the top.
There's like a bunch of guys thrashing their heads up and going, sandworm, sandworm.
Yeah. That would be something. That would be something. All that spice. See, make that into a musical.
Something about Gom Jabbar and Kwisatz Siderak.
The Bene Gesserits.
The Bene Gesserits, yeah.
Mm-hmm. God, I love that movie so much.
Mm-hmm.
It is insane, but I do love that movie.
It's nice.
All right, so getting back to this film, because I feel like we should probably wrap this up.
Yeah.
This is a hard pass.
I agree. This
is a hard pass.
Nobody really needs to see this. I mean, if you're desperate to see West Side Story, or maybe you I don't know, maybe
you need something to fold laundry.
Yeah.
You can have this in the
Or
background.
if you really love like classic Broadway musicals and you for some reason don't want to watch the original because I don't know, maybe the casting was problematic or you got some sort of issue with that, watch this one instead. But really,
Speaking of problematic casting, do you think that the male lead getting Me Too'd hurt this film?
I don't know, maybe, but I gotta be honest, until you mentioned it, I had no idea anything was happening.
I had heard about it, and I felt like, and I even said to you, I felt like the marketing on this was very, what's the word I'm looking for? Like
Subtle?
Subtle, yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, maybe when this movie came out, I got to be honest, I don't recall hearing anything about
Ansel
Elgort. Seriously, the first time I heard there was any sort of accusation made, it was when you when you talked about it right before we watched the movie. So I don't know if this thing got as much traction as some people are making it out to be.
It had to have gotten some traction because there were articles written about it.
Yeah,
and I'd heard about it, but I didn't really know too much about it because I wasn't. He's not on my radar at all.
You mentioned some of these articles, but even like if this was something that was really hit the mainstream media or mainstream news, I am positive I would have heard something more about it, even beyond this, like ancillary stories and whatnot. All I've heard is from what you said, and basically it was like somebody came out and launched an accusation against him, and like what became of it? Like, did anything become of it? I don't know.
Well, he released a statement and said,
"Is he like? I don't even know." It's not like he was like this big name actor,
right?
Where you're like, oh wow, why isn't he making any movies anymore? Honestly, if he never made another movie again, I probably wouldn't know. You asked me in 10 years, oh, do you remember that actor Ansel Elgort? I'd be like, who?
Yeah, Baby Driver.
Oh, okay, yeah, I like Baby Driver. There you go. So yeah, that's it. He's freaking Baby Driver.
I know.
That's the only really thing I've seen him in aside from this just now.
Yeah.
So
I mean, he's been in other shit. That Fault in Our Stars movie.
That he was in that one too?
Yeah, I think he's one of the. Isn't he?
I don't know. Maybe it was the guy from Solo.
I confuse those two all the time, which is terrible.
Yeah.
I should really correct that, but I don't think I give enough to care.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I don't know if anybody gave enough.
He was in The Fault in Our Stars.
To care because you never.
He was
really,
in Divergent.
I don't know. Those movies were
The Goldfinch, Billionaire Boys Club, something called Jonathan, November Criminals.
Is he going to be in anything now, or has this like tanked his career?
That's a good question, and I think this movie was done like years ago, from what I read.
West Side Story?
Yeah, I think it sat on a shelf for like 2 years
because of COVID.
Possibly. He's supposed to be working on a TV miniseries this year called Tokyo Vice on HBO Max. And before that, he did West Side Story. And before that, he did The Goldfinch from 2019. So he's spaced out his stuff. Billionaire Boys Club was 2018. Jonathan was 2018. He was in a music video in 2018. 2017, he did Baby Driver, November Criminals, and some other music video.
Well, I mean, his previous career is pointless to this discussion. I'm just wondering if it's affected his work going forward because, like I said, I'd never heard any of this stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was just if maybe it was proven false or what, but who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if this affected the box office.
Well, I think we live in a time now that when stories like this surface, I think it really hurts careers.
Yeah, I
whether
mean,
they're guilty or not.
I don't doubt that, but I'm like I said, I don't know if this got so much notoriety about it that it would have affected the box office. In my mind, this just didn't do well because there's no audience for this.
Yeah.
You know, I understand you get the idea, musical movies are hot.
Are they?
At certain points in time, yeah.
Not now, though.
Every once in a while, a musical movie comes out and people are like, oh, this is great.
Really? Like what?
I can't really think. I don't really watch musical movies.
I think you're wrong.
They're always making musicals out of stuff.
Are they? What? Like what?
God, you put me on the spot. Well, what like Mamma Mia and
That's like a one and done type of thing.
what the hell do you think West Side Story is?
No. But like Mamma Mia, it did well enough that it got a sequel, but I don't think it was like.
No. But what I'm saying is that it was a musical. They took
Fine,
and
sure, yes.
not only that, but they took like popular music and turned it into a movie.
Right.
And I'm.
But the movie and the music are completely independent of each other. Like those, like that.
The movie is a musical.
I understand that, but I'm saying like, okay, for this particular piece, the music is inherent to the story.
And in those ones, it's not.
No, because I think they created the story around the music of ABBA.
So
I don't think ABBA came up with this idea like, let's do a musical movie.
No. I am not saying that at all. I'm just saying that it's a musical.
Yes.
That's all. That's all. No. Don't read stuff into what I'm saying here. I'm just saying it's a musical.
Yes.
And it was popular.
Yes.
Okay. And what I'm also saying is that when stuff like that happens, when a movie comes out that does have music in it and does become popular, studios are like, you know what? We need to hop on this and start churning out musicals.
But I think the argument that I would make for that would be that I think the people that saw it sort of overlapped different fandoms. I think you had the ABBA fans. I think you had musical fans.
Okay.
I think you had fans of like Meryl Streep who wanted to go see that.
Right.
So I think that particular or filmmaking / storytelling experience is different than this. Whereas West Side Story is West Side Story. Those songs are West Side Story. The story of the Jets versus the Sharks is that story. There's no deviation from West Side Story in Spielberg's
okay.
West Side Story.
All right, but that's not I have no argument there. My point is that because something gets successful, studios are like, well, we have to make more of that. And they don't understand why it was successful.
Right.
They just know that, oh, well, there's singing in it, right? Okay. What else can we do that has singing in it? I know. Let's remake West Side Story.
Do you think somebody said that, or was that? I feel like that's Spielberg's idea. I want to make a musical.
I bet that Spielberg always was like, you know what? I would love to make a musical, or maybe he even said, I would love to make West Side Story. And then after movies that have musical scores like Greatest Showman and Mamma Mia and stuff like that, those became popular. The studios were like, oh man, you know what? I heard Steven Spielberg wants to make a musical. Yeah. Let's give him $300 million to do it.
Right. And give him something that we think is going to be a surefire hit.
It's got Steven Spielberg's name, and it's a classic Broadway show.
Right.
And they don't really think like, well, yeah, it's a classic Broadway show. Mm-hmm. Maybe we shouldn't fuck with it.
Yeah.
If the movie is considered a classic.
Right. And you know what? That's a good example.
It's like, do you like
The Greatest Showman?
Would you think do you think they should remake Singing in the Rain?
Oh God, no.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Or any other like thing that had Wizard of Oz. Don't remake the Wizard of Oz ever. Don't remake Singing in the Rain or I can't even
American
think of
in Paris, Gigi.
I hate it.
I like Gigi. I know you hate it, but I like Gigi.
But there are plenty of musical movies from that time period.
Absolute Beginners, David Bowie. Love that.
I don't know. But I'm sure there are also musicals that were on Broadway that either got the movie treatment or some that didn't, but they're like from classics from the old times, Stephen Sondheim. And
he should have remade Xanadu.
Oh God. Terrible.
That really is
That's
a terrible movie.
abomination.
I love the shit out of it as a kid, but God, when I saw it again, I was like, what were we all thinking? What would you rather see, West Side Story 2021 or Xanadu again?
I guess I would watch this. I don't know.
What if the other one's shorter?
Maybe if the other one's shorter. You know what? Maybe I would watch Xanadu just because it's so terrible. Maybe I could find some kind of enjoyment out of it. I've never actually sat through the entirety of Xanadu.
I guess I know what we're seeing next week.
I've only seen chunks of it, and I know the main song because it used to be like the theme song of Harmontown.
Was it really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Like every podcast will begin with Xanadu.
Dun, 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 dun.
And God Lord, and Gene Kelly's in that. What the hell, man? And like, was he was like directly responsible for that thing, wasn't he?
No.
It wasn't like his baby or something.
No.
Oh,
thank
God.
I think the story of that was that they wanted to make like this because it was like late 70s or early 80s, and they wanted to make like this big disco kind of production, and I think she got hired first, and then they went to him. And I think originally he didn't want to do it, but I think they waved enough money in front of him. And then he like worked extensively with somebody because he was like a perfectionist. Remember all those stories? Like I think Ann Miller was like everyone hated him because it was like, no, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. We got to do it again.
Was that Debbie Reynolds?
Or maybe it was Debbie Reynolds. Yeah.
Singing in the Rain, that big number. And like, she was like basically in tears and her feet were just ravaged by the end of the night.
Yeah. Yeah. But apparently he was like a perfectionist.
I mean, I'm not a big musical guy, but I think Singing in the Rain is great.
Yeah.
Aside from like two numbers, I think, which are just, why are they there? But the rest of it is just
that
awesome.
Sequence.
Yeah,
the Broadway
lullaby, whatever that thing is.
Yeah.
Broadway melody.
Yeah.
It's just terrible. Like, why is this here? And
I
it had
love
nothing to do with anything. It had zero to do with the
they
story.
Had to pad out
it was just
film.
like, hey, Gene Kelly, you got an idea for a movie? Do I, boss? It begins like this. And then it's like, what is going on? I'm sitting here for 20 minutes watching this nonsense.
Well, like you said, they should really remake RoboCop into a musical.
That's great.
I would actually see that.
I got the first song all laid out in my head. Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah. My name is Murphy. I am a cop. I work in old Detroit.
That's amazing.
Da-da-da.
All right, 1 to 10. West Side Story 2021 by Steven Spielberg, currently streaming on Disney Plus. What are you going to give it?
I'll give it like a 3.5, maybe.
3.5. What did we see previously that we gave a 3 to?
I disliked it. You didn't mind. You
Kimmy.
Kimmy. Yes, I did not like Kimmy.
Would you rather see Kimmy than this?
I would rather see Kimmy, although I did give Kimmy just a flat out 3. So yeah, all right, I change it 3. This was as bad as Kimmy.
I'm going to give this movie, I didn't like it, but I think I'm going to give it a 5, only because I think like Nightmare Alley, this film had other factors that kind of bumped it up. I think the people or the teams involved with the set decorations and the costuming and the art departments, I think all those people did outstanding. At no point in this film did I not think that I was not in New York City in 1958. I
go back to 3.5. It at least had that.
It really was a sight to behold. I mean, that seriously, that alone bumped this up considerably for me. I think if it didn't have those aspects, I think I too would have given it a 3. But I think just based on that alone, the cinematography is gorgeous in this. Rachel Zegler, again, just really beautiful singing voice. I don't know that I mean, I think she's still a young actress, and I think she'll eventually get there. But I think her
I don't
singing
think
was,
I don't think her
wow.
performance was bad in
I
any
don't think
way.
it was bad, but I think
I don't want
it
anybody
was,
to think that's what we think. She was great.
Yeah, no, she was
But
great.
I think that I got to be honest. Nobody's performance really was like a
Wowed me.
blockbuster. Wow,
Yeah.
I could feel those emotions. Just oh my god, that's pulling my heartstrings. This performance that didn't exist in this movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, of course, her singing is going to outperform any acting she did.
Yeah.
She was excellent singer.
Yeah, and kudos to 90-year-old Rita Moreno.
I can't believe she's 90.
Holy cow. She was born
she's-
December 11th, 1931.
She is.
She looks fan-freaking-tastic for 90. Long may she live. It was really... hats off to Spielberg for including her, for giving her this opportunity to be in this, to kind of revisit some old material in a new way. I think she was lovely. I think that if you're a young person and you want to break into theater, I think that this is a nice thing to watch. I think if you like West Side Story just to see what this is, I think you should watch it. I think that if you're bored for content, this isn't the worst thing you'll see. So
No, I mean it's a beautiful adaptation of it, but
yeah.
I'm just not. I have never been interested in this story.
No, fair enough.
I've never been interested.
I had problems with this. But I think that there were other factors in play here that raised up the score for me. And like I said, the visuality of this film is bar none. I mean, Spielberg really knows how to frame shots. He's an excellent storyteller. This isn't the worst thing he's done by far. No. I mean, I think BFG, without a doubt, was holy cow.
Oh, in recent memory, yeah, BFG is terrible.
But this was, it wasn't a perfect film, but it wasn't terrible. But I'm going to put it at the halfway mark because I think that this could have been better. And I feel like they sort of played it safe, but in a way that didn't really do anything for the property and just didn't do anything in general. It could have been more dynamic, and it just wasn't.
It's there.
Yeah, it exists. I'm glad that these people got jobs and did stuff, but yeah, I mean, I think it's a pass. I think ultimately, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out why people are like, especially critics, like, oh my God, this is the most amazing thing, but I don't know. Do you want to add anything else?
No, I'm good.
You're good? Yeah. All right, so then we will wrap it up. That's it from us, and we will bid you all a good night.
Good night.